Welcome to this our webinar entitled Charting the Route to Success, Developing for Exports. My name is Shane Angus, Interim Vice President of Export at Jampro, and I will be your moderator today. Over the years, Jampro and his partner who are online with us today have always thought it fit to ensure that we inform and engage your exporters to ensure that you deliver to your fullest potential as well as help to grow the exports, which is a big mandate of Jampro. Through this consultation with the agri sector, as well as through market participation and market gathering initiatives, we have engaged overseas industry players and have identified several gaps. And these gaps really have an implication on the beverage industry and our exports. We have recognized that in 2022, the total exports for Jamaica was 346.4 million, which represents 25.3% of GDP, which is a significant amount. Last year, 2022, we saw an increase over 2021 of 3.9%, which is also a positive indication that we're going in the right direction. The team today, charting the route to success, is no doubt timely. And today we will discuss and focus on what is required of us as a country with one of the most sought after global brands and how we can partner to increase this export figure. I'd like to extend a special welcome to you online today. I'd like to also recognize our president, President Shulette Cox of Jampro. From the Scientific Research Council, Dr. Grace Ann Jr. From the Jamaica Business Development Corporation, Mr. Colin Powell. From the Bureau of Standard, Mr. Akina Patterson. And our very own in-market agri-export manager, Shanique Edwards. There are some ground rules that we need to follow as it pertains to this webinar. I'd like to let you know that this webinar is being recorded. All video and audio have been turned off for all participants. If you have questions, please type them in the question box below. Your question will be answered by one of the panelists live or responded to in the inbox. No verbal question will be allowed. Without any further ado, and in the interest of time, I'll now move over to our very first presenter. Our first presenter this morning is Ms. Shanique Edwards of Jampro. She is the Acting Manager for Agribusiness Export Department at Jampro. Her topic today will highlight some opportunities for export in agro-processing, which includes some critical consideration for market access and penetration. Ms. Edwards tenure at Jampro span over 10 years with experience in export and investment facilitation and promotion across several sectors, working primarily with the clients in the agriculture and agro-processing industries, and devising and managing the implementation of strategy to identify and take advantage of export opportunities. So without any further ado, welcome Ms. Edwards as you bring your message.
Thank you for that introduction, moderator, and good morning to you, my fellow presenters, agro-processors, colleagues, and other attendees. It is a pleasure to be here with you today to share some export opportunities in agro-processing and key considerations when developing for export. With that said, I will go ahead with the presentation and take some time for questions later during the question and answer segment. Before we get down to business, allow me to share a bit on Jampro. Now, who is Jampro? Jampro is the Export and Investment Promotions Organization for the government of Jamaica, and our purpose is to build global relationships and realize export and investment business opportunities for the country. Our functions include attracting and assisting investors, working to improve the country's business climate as well as investment attractiveness. We also advocate for improvements in the ecosystem for greater ease of exporting, promoting Jamaica as an ideal destination for sourcing high quality products, and we work with our export-ready companies with fine markets. Now, to truly appreciate the range of opportunities that exist, let us take a moment to review the sector's contribution to GDP and then compare it to the demand from our major export markets, the US, UK, and Canada. As you can see here, total exports for agro-processing for 2022 was over 346 million US dollars, and this represents a 3.9% increase over 2021. In fact, we anticipate that there will be an increase for 2023 once all the month's figures are tallied. Actually, as at the end of August 2023, we achieved over 256 million US dollars in export sales, and this is 74% of 2022's full year's achievement. Here you can see a breakdown of the export sales across the 14 product categories captured by Statin. Now, let's review the demand for selected let's review the demand by our major export markets. Based on the import figures that we're seeing here in comparison to our performance as at 2022 and where we are in 2023, you can see that we are leaving a lot on the table. At this time, I will be sharing some specific opportunities. For the purpose of this presentation, 8 commodities and categories with significant export potential will be highlighted. Let's start with canned ackee. The demand for Jamaican ackee continues to be high, and there are government initiatives on the way to help increase supply. However, processors are encouraged to consider investing in orchards. Next, you can consider adding value to other orchard fruits, such as breadfruit and mangoes, as well as gluten-free products made from our yams, cassava, and sweet potato. We continue to see demand for ready-to-eat and ready-to-heat products, not just from our diaspora members, but also from mainstream consumers. Our Scotch bonnet pepper is highly regarded, as you know, and highly demanded, and opportunities exist for pepper mash, flakes, powder, and other value-added products. Beverage continues to be a strong contributor to Jamaica's export sales. And another big export performer is our sauces and marinades category. Now, this is not limited to pepper sauce. Think convenient, ready to use, and complete. Consider global fusion trends and international influences on food as the world gets smaller through social media and ease of travel. Consider complex flavors and the marrying of flavors. For instance, sweet and spicy, sweet and smoky, or sweet and savory. Market research will definitely be critical. We continue to see remarkable export sales for baked goods, and of course, this is driven by our diaspora markets. And the jams and jellies category also continues to do well. Again, consider trends around global fusion, the marrying of flavors, use of simple ingredients, and reduced sugar content. Lastly, export opportunities exist for our value-added Jamaican ginger and turmeric products, as well as herbs and spices. Jamaican ginger is highly regarded, particularly for its potency, and this is also true for turmeric and pimento. Whether it is processed to be used as an input to other products or processed as a complete product ready for use, there are opportunities for you to take advantage of. All right, so we have thrown out these remarkable numbers and the opportunities presented are great. What then is the most proven route to getting your product to market? Ladies and gentlemen, consider starting closer to home with our diaspora. The diaspora represents a sizable market base with over 1.1 million diaspora members in the United States, over 800,000 in the UK, and more than 309,000 diaspora members in Canada. You can also consider targeting submarkets and cities that are aligned to the origin of majority of tourists to Jamaica, bearing in mind logistics. For example, the tri-state area, which includes New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. You can also look at South Florida, Ontario, Quebec and Alberta, and London. We'll now turn our focus on some global trends and outlook and implications for you, our food and beverage manufacturers. Market intelligence gathered through in-market trade visits, engagements with our overseas industry stakeholders, including buyers and our regional offices, as well as a review of highly regarded food and beverage publications, revealed the following. Global and fusion cuisine are becoming increasingly popular, and there is a growing demand for sustainable packaging and a gravitation towards clean and clear labeling. Next, the industry is seeing an increased interest in white labeling and private labeling by supermarket chains and medium to large size distribution companies. Our competitors are using more automation and robotics to ensure competitiveness in terms of capacity, scalability, and the price of their products. What does this mean? This means that our agri-processors will need to incorporate automation at some point in time in order for them to remain competitive. Blockchain technology is becoming increasingly relevant, and this is driven by the increased global demand for product traceability, tracking, and visibility. Nominal spending. Now, while nominal spending on food has increased, the real spending has actually been declining as consumers are becoming more price sensitive. What does this mean for your agri-processors and aspiring food and beverage manufacturers? You'll need to find innovative ways to control production costs without compromising on quality. Lastly, it is anticipated that over the next 10 years, there will be a decline in the demand for high-calorie, high-fat foods and sugary foods. Now, we can all agree that the food and beverage industry is one of the most dynamic. Therefore, to maximize business opportunities, especially for exports, adopting a strategic approach is a must. Today, we will highlight 3 strategies for your consideration. The first is to develop a business mindset to agro-processing. As you develop in the export space, it is fundamental that you develop a sound business plan. This is your roadmap. Develop a sound business plan and incorporate market intelligence in planning. Next, assess your capacity so that you can determine if you can, in fact, fulfill an order. And you can also determine whether or not you can successfully scale up production. Next, implement and maintain a robust food safety and traceability system. Ladies and gentlemen, from inputs to market, food safety is everyone's business. You also want to employ proper accounts management. The second strategy we propose is to utilize available resources to achieve export readiness. We do not expect you to know everything, but we expect you to leverage our trade agreements, and you can do so by consulting with industry stakeholders and take advantage of government support services to achieve export readiness and understand the to-dos in preparation for exports. Pay attention to market entry requirements for each market. Confirm your routes to market, including logistics and distribution channels and the associated costs and timeline. You also want to pay attention to packaging, labeling, and branding. The third and final strategy that we look at today is to develop an informed export marketing strategy. What does this entail? First, doing your due diligence. This includes researching your target markets and developing a profile of the types of consumers you want to attract. Ask yourself, will my product fill a want or a need? Next, you need to be evaluating potential buyers through research and assess payment options before engaging potential buyers. It's making sure that you establish sound relationship before considering any form of credit arrangement. The next under this strategy is to assess and develop your value proposition. Ladies and gentlemen, differentiation is key. When approaching buyers, they want to know what sets your product apart from all the other similar products that they carry. The big question in their mind is, will it move off the shelves? Have a profile or catalog ready for potential buyers, as it adds to the conversation with them. And this should include information on your product offerings, your value proposition, quality certification, brand presence in the retail space, production capacity, and your minimum order quantity. Be responsive and maintain open and effective lines of communication. Allocate adequate resources to promotion, marketing, and maintaining an active online presence. Particularly for export, having a budget for online and overseas initiatives is crucial. Lastly, develop a price list for your target markets in the currency of that market. And if it is the country doesn't have a hard currency, then we recommend that you use the US dollar. Be mindful as well that consignment arrangements can differ, so bear that in mind when you are doing your pricing. Now, there are three teams that you will primarily interact with at Jampro. The Agribusiness Investment and Linkages team, which is for your investments projects. Export Facilitation team, should you encounter any local obstacles to export, and the Agribusiness Exports team, which is your market access, who are your market access partners. Here are some ways in which we support companies. Inward missions. The team facilitates buyers virtually or when they come to Jamaica. Here, we develop the buyer's itinerary of scheduled business meetings with individual suppliers based on the buyer's expressed interest. And this, your participation is of no cost at all to you. Next, outward mission. Jampro coordinates trade missions overseas to overseas markets and facilitate B2B meetings between participating companies and potential buyers. This is done on a cost-sharing basis with the supplier. We also support through trade fair participation, where we coordinate a delegation to participate in various trade shows. For international trade shows, participation is usually heavily subsidized by Jampro. Lastly, ongoing business matchmaking. This is what we do on a day-to-day basis. Introductions are facilitated based on inquiries received, direct buyer engagements, and ongoing client interaction. Now, prior to introducing Jamaican suppliers to international buyers, Jampro requires that your business can, in fact, meet demand and fulfill shipments in a timely manner and in adherence to export market entry requirements. Ladies and gentlemen, exports offer considerable opportunities for local companies in agro-processing, and we can see how crucial it is to boosting the growth of the Jamaican economy. The Jampro team and each stakeholder agency represented here today stand ready to support you as you chart your route to success. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanique. Well done. I really like that presentation. I like the opportunities you highlighted. I'm pretty happy to hear that mainstream members are now buying a lot of Jamaican goods. I also like the fact that you spoke about uh, opportunities for other products outside of the mainstream products, which is also great. I also like the fact you spoke about investment in orchards to help to generate more of those goods, more produce for the international market. And it's great to see the global trends. I know the viewers online today are looking at those trends, and I hope they will incorporate them in their export strategy as they look to grow in that market. So thank you. Thank you. I know someone in the question and answer asked if the presentation will be shared. Just to answer, it will be shared at the end. The recording will be shared. You'll have access to it. So we now move on to our second presenter, Dr. Grace Ann Jr. She's the team leader of product development unit at Scientific Research Council. Her presentation will be a guide on how agro-processors can create value and increase competitiveness through innovation and product differentiation. Dr. Juna have a Master's of Philosophy in Organic Chemistry and a PhD in Medicine. She has served as Scientific Research Council as a research scientist at the Scientific Council for the last 15 years. Without any further ado, please welcome Dr. Juna.
Good morning, all, and thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Let me get my slide. Oh. This is one. Here. We're there?
We're seeing you, Doc. We're seeing you.
You're seeing me, and I'm fine, as how we were before. Okay, thanks again for the invite. Thanks for being here. Good morning to all on the platform. So time is of essence, so I'll just get straight into it. Thanks again for my fellow colleague that went on before with that presentation. It did lay the platform for me to continue with the services of the SRC. I really enjoy, I'm really thankful for this platform because it gives us that holistic view for the customers out there, the manufacturers out there, to understand that it's not a entity, but it's an holistic approach that we need to have an understanding for us to go to export, for us to grow in the manufacturing sector. So here at the Scientific Research Council, I'll first highlight some of the roles and services of the Scientific Research Council, and as such to see how best the manufacturers will see how they can unravel the use or to expose the services that we have so that they will identify how they can utilize the service of SRC to realize their dreams. Okay, so the Scientific Research Council was established in the 1960s. It's a principal public agency that is responsible for the promotion and coordination and support of research and also its application. It mandates, it centers around the popularization of science and technology and also innovation that will lend support to the growth and development of the agro industry, not just locally, but on an international scale. So what do we do at the Scientific Research Council? What do we do at the Scientific Research Council to help to support the micro, small, and medium enterprises? We do have a product research and development unit that assists with the product development, as the name suggests. We also have our personal care, our natural products unit that deals with the development of natural products or personal care products. We also have a supporting arm also of the analytical services department that deals with the testing of food products and water products. We also have a process development sector that deals with is a pilot plant, provides a pilot plant facility or space for the manufacturing of goods for our micro, small, and medium enterprises. We also engage in research and development. We have a biotech unit that deals with the propagation of plant materials so that can lend support to the agro industry, providing seedlings to the agro industry. And we do continuous research throughout the various sectors that are here in the Scientific Research Council, in particular to the natural products, the biotech, and also the food unit. We deal with the characterization also of our local plant materials so that we can have quality information to go into the exports. We also have our wastewater division, or rather the wastewater unit that falls under our process division that can assist with designing environmentally friendly systems for the different manufacturers, helping reducing costs. In the popularization of science, we have our STEW, the Science and Technology Unit, that engage our young minds as to how to go about the continuation of science and technology in the future. So we have the Young Science Award, Young Science Innovation, and the different national science and technology fairs and essay writing competitions. We also offer consultancy service and training in the various for the various food products for your jams and jelly, as mentioned before by our former presenter, which is something that is high on the export list. We have our juice, the beverage also fall in that category. Again, is something that we do offer not just consultancy for, but also we also do the standardization and product development for these products. Our sources, again, as I've mentioned, that is top again on the export list. We are here for support to assist with consultancy and service development in terms of product development for these products. And the list continues as seen here. Sorry, keep going to the wrong slide, going down. So as mentioned before, in going in and in being a manufacturer in the agro sector, we need to keep abreast as to what is happening in the manufacturing environment. What is it that the consumers are saying? So we know that persons are continuously becoming health conscious, and we are on the go. We are where everybody's working, mother, father, each person in the household working. So convenience is something that is trending. Health in the form of immune boost or energy drink, or turmeric or ginger, as mentioned before, herbs and spices, something that persons are now going towards. So we need to be abreast with that. Gluten-free products, as mentioned before, and enforcing here low sugar, as we see in the Ministry of Health and Wellness trying to drive home the need for us to reduce our intake in terms of sugar, salt, and fats. So we need to design our product in that atmosphere as persons become more informed consumers and not just eating for satiety, but eating with health in mind. Also, the chef line is also something that we're seeing persons coming out with. So some of the products that we actually do here, listed here, this is not limited to what we offer here at the Scientific Research Council. We have our condiments, our sauces, beverage, our jams and jelly, snacks, potato chips, banana chips, pumpkin chips, whatever chips and snacks so then you can think about. Our cocktails in terms of the beverage, our baked products, be it muffin, cakes, Christmas puddings, Christmas cake, whatever it is, we're here to assist with that, whatever infused products or infused honey, infused oils. With our local produce, we're here to assist in that form. And one of the things is, the topic geared towards us using our local produce even, and to creating our product to let us differentiate ourselves from others. And one of the things that we usually toot here at the SRC is to make the uncommon common and to make the common uncommon. And what that is basically saying from this image that we're looking at here is that we'll go on the supermarket shelf and we will see orange juice. There's a mirror, there's a number of orange juices there. It's common. But what makes this product uncommon, what makes it stand out, what makes it unique. And one of the things that even our foregone speaker spoke about was packaging and labeling. And that is something, if we're going into the export market, that one needs to pay attention to keenly, is how you package your product. You're entering an international space, and as such, your packaging is critical. How you present, this is the face of your product, and how you present this product to the consumer will let the person stop in the aisle and say, oh, let me see what is this, what this offers, and read your label. Again, whatever you put on that label, which is the first connection between the consumer and your product. So you read, you offer something. Is it a recipe that you're providing here on your label? Is it showing that, okay, my company is certified, is ISO certified, not ISO, sorry, ASAP certified, you will say, or even whatever certification that you have, GMP certified and stuff like that. You can put all of those on your product label for persons to gain that confidence for your product, so that you can help with the sales of your product and even the export market when you're going there. So make the common uncommon and make the uncommon common, right? So you do these through your labeling, packaging, and stuff like that. And branding also is essential for your product. And that again was mentioned. Now, we can't overemphasize these. We have different agencies that will deal with it and can assist you in the different aspect as to how to create the value for your product. Because yes, we all have you will all have honey. I will say honey in Jamaica is something again that is going. But it's how you package your honey, how you sell this honey, how you brand it. Is it the honey from St. Elizabeth, St. Mary, St. Thomas? And everywhere in Jamaica, every parish in Jamaica, there is some attribute to it. So in branding, you can bring alive. I am from St. Thomas, so am I going to sell Paul Bogle? This is honey from the Paul Bogle parish of Jamaica. So you try to brand and separate your product from other honey, and not just the label. It is Grace honey. It is Olivia's honey. No, bring something more to the product, so that when you enter that thing, you're not just selling honey, but you're selling even the culture. You're selling even history when you're going out like that. So brand your product and sell your product in that avenue. I don't want, I guess I don't want to spend too much time on that. So yeah, I spoke about trends already. I keep going backwards. Also, we do have the natural product unit that deals with product development. You can engage our services here. We deal with, it could be face product, hair products, body products. We're here to assist. And again, we're here at the Scientific Research Council to assist in these avenues, so that when you have a product, when you have that formulation, it is separate and apart from what is there. Yes, I mentioned before, I still use the scenario of the orange juice there. You will have 100 orange juices on the shelf, but each of those orange juices will be formulated in a different aspect. And that's why we're here at the Scientific Research Council to help you to differentiate your product from others. So even though the product name might be similar, what it offers will be different. And that's how also you can separate yourself from others. We do have a pilot plant service facility that can offer service for small, medium, and micro enterprises. As mentioned before, we do bottling of whatever it is. It can be honey, or if you have other products that you want just to package, we do have that spacing here that can assist in that, assist with that service. We have the milling. We do have a mill. So we spoke about spices before with the export market, and it's something that is growing, is a growing trend for all herbs and spices, our ginger, our turmeric, be it a primary using as an ingredient or using as an product for itself. We are here, we can offer that service. And when you go through, and again, as mentioned before, we do have the analytical service, because when we go or enter the export market, there are certain requirements, and we have the analytical service department that can do the microbead testing that you need, the moisture content that you may need for your dry herbs that you're submitting, so that it's not just submitting and just getting the products in and exporting. But we are here at the Scientific Research Center to provide you with the necessary information that you may need and support that you may need to go into the export market. So getting the herbs, getting the spices, yes, you have to have and secure your marketers, or secure the resource that you will want to export, but also how you treat that herb in the process. We're here to advise you how to go about that. So you can come in and we can assist you, so that when you enter the export market, it was something that is safe. Safety is a must, because you will damage your brand. You create it and you can damage it. So you must ensure safety, and we're here to assist you to ensure that safety in going forward. The factory layout, if it is that you want, again, we have services here, and certified persons that can assist you with the layout of your facility, so that when a different agency comes into, you will get an easy pass, and as such, enforcing safety, so that when you enter the export market, your product will be safe for consumption. We offer training if it is that you don't want to utilize or to use the full arm of our services, because we are like a one-stop shop here. We can do the consultancy service, we can do the process development, and we can manufacture the product here for you. But if it is that you do have a facility and you want us to assist with the layout, we're here. If it is that you just want training as how to improve what you're doing, we are here to assist you with that service also. We have other technical consultancy as mentioned, or mixing equipment, whatever the service is, you can get in touch with us. We have our drying and curing and smoking of products that we can also assist you with here at the Scientific Research Council. We also assist with filing as you're entering the export market. Filing is something that will be required. You have to have that FDA, we call it the number, your FDA filing number, and we can assist you with that. It's not everyone that is authorized to do your filing. You have to be a process authority, and SRC is one of those. So you can come into us and we can assist you with that. Filing is usually done for two product groups. So you have the low acid and the high acid group. The low acid groups are the canned products. So you like the canned ackee as mentioned before, your canned color products. Those are usually low acid food, and that involves a scheduled process. And it's a series of tests that you go through and to determine basically or to arrive at what we call a commercial sterile product. And as such, when the product is commercially sterile, it can last, and it will last for a number of years, usually, and can stay on the shelf, safe in that room temperature shelf, stay on the shelf. We also offer for the high acid food, like your drink, your sauces, that's your ketchup, your barbecue sauce, and stuff like that. We offer a process schedule, and this is similar to our production run. What we do is to throughout the process to ensure that whatever steps or processes that is employed, it offers a reduction in your microbial load. And so at the end of the day, your product will be safe for consumption also. So the entire process goes through a series of tests, either thermally or during processing techniques, and we do the test. And after that, we then do the online filing of it, which takes approximately 2 hours. And the manufacturer is also a part of that filing process for you to be abreast with the process and to see the process to go through to the end. So that is also a service that we offer, and you can get in touch with us to assist with that. For further information, you can get in touch with us also to see that. So these are some of the products that we have assisted our customer with out there, just to give a overview for that. So it could be dry products, it could be our soaps, as mentioned before, our turmeric products, our sauces, whatever the product be, we are here to assist with that. So, right. So I think that's think I've gone over my time. So if there are any other questions or anything further for clarification, you can get in touch with us. We're here to assist as best as possible, because we want to ensure when you enter that export market that you have quality and that you sell Jamaica wherever that you go, that Jamaica is also being sold, and the Scientific Research Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you for that very informative session. Great to hear the services that you offer at SRC. And I'd like to commend you on your education program. It's always good to see you doing something to bring new scientists into the world. I was pretty much impressed with your slogan, making the common uncommon. As a regional manager for Jampo, who sits in the North America offices, which is US and Canada, we do see that as a trend where persons want to see differentiation, strong differentiation in their products.
Right.
It's competing, and that is a message I would want our viewers to take away today. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And I'm sure the opportunities you presented today, the different categories, I mean, the facial products, so it creates another opportunity for persons to look at when they're doing their exports. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, no problem. Our next presenter is Mr. Colin Porter, the Technical Services Manager at the Jamaica Development Business Corporation. His topic today is From Concept to Market, delving into key considerations and around product development, branding and packaging, design and operations improvement to become export ready, maximize market access, and strengthen competitiveness in the global market. Mr. Porter is a registered engineer who enjoys photography, automobile, and graphic design. He is no stranger to the world of business, and many persons would have said that he has contributed significantly to the development of their company through JBDC. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Colin Porter from the JBDC.
Thank you very much, Shane, and very good morning to everyone present this morning. And certainly, my two previous presenters have really laid the groundwork for my presentation. And I don't know if Jampo did it intentionally or not, but the topic I'm presenting on this morning is actually JBDC's slogan. This is our mantra, from concept to market. And so I'll go through it and explain what are sort of ways in which you can move from what you have heard in the first two presentations, all the opportunities, the various different types of products and opportunities that you have for different markets, how you go through the conversion of these products and so on, what value added products have potential in the market, and just go through how do you capitalize on that. But first, let me start by just introducing the JBDC to you again. I'm sure most of us here hopefully knows about JBDC and what we do. And we are a public body falling under Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. And we work very closely with entrepreneurs to move them along that path to success. And what we do is very much embedded in the imperatives of the MSC policy. And you can see some of the 6 key imperative areas which we are focused on, which is to provide enhanced business development services, access to finance. Even though we don't give you the money itself, we prepare you to get the funding, creating that enabling business environment, fostering the culture of entrepreneurship, looking at social value creation and other cross-cutting issues which affect the world of business and entrepreneurship. And we do this not just on our own, but certainly along with a lot of the partners who we have represented here today, and I'll get into that some more as we go along. Now, I just want to share with you our model of engagement, and this is at the enterprise level or the level of the MSMEs. So you have a concept, you have an idea for an agribusiness, using one of the crops that Jampro just shared with us this morning. You want to utilize gluten-free products using breadfruit or one of our widely available crops, yams or so on. And we encourage persons to look at it not just from the product side, but from the big picture, from your business approach, your business concept. So once you are onboarded as a client of JBDC, then we focus on helping you to develop that strategy that will bring you to success, right? How do you prepare yourself? And I'll go later on in more detail in some of the specific areas, right? But what strategy will you use? What business model will you apply to your business and so on? We don't just look at that, however, we look at other aspects, and we have different areas looking at the technical services, which embeds a lot of the, from the production to helping to visualize your brand, so the brand design, the labels and packaging that was mentioned earlier by SRC. How do you go about that? Your operations, to ensure that you're operating efficiently. We have our marketing support services unit, which helps you to analyze and understand and come up with strategies, how to enter the market, right? And of course, that leads you to market access with our Things Jamaican shop as one of the flagship retail outlets we have, which promotes and retails only Jamaican-made products. And we have traditional brick and mortar outlets, and we have our e-commerce site where we channel products there. But we're not just limited to the Thing Jamaican shops, of course, but other retail outlets where we prepare clients to access those markets. And of course, we have our project management and research area where we look at areas, get information about the wider ecosystem, the wider MSME ecosystem, and corporate strategies and programs and projects which can enhance players in the MSME world on the local side. And so our approach is very holistic. It is inclusive, even though we're describing a model here. What is not seen, but what is very critical is the role of partners and other external stakeholders who are critical to entrepreneurship success for our clients. At the bottom of the slide here is a summary of the different levels in which we operate, which I alluded to, but just to be clear. So while the model above would describe enterprise level engagement, which focuses on how do we support our MSMEs for their economic impact through growth, employment creation, etc., accessing new markets and bringing new products to the market, etc. We also operate strategically at the ecosystem level, where we facilitate development and try to stimulate growth in that area as well. And this involves a lot of engagement with external partners to come up with solutions which will support enterprise level development. And these partners may be through the public sector, through private sector, through the international arena as well, where we may engage with international donors for particular projects which meet our policy imperatives to grow entrepreneurship. And of course, for us, critically at JBDC is our own institutional capacity development. If we are helping entrepreneurs to be the best, then our team needs to be sharp. So for us, it's important that we look at our own human capital and internal processes development as well. And we use these strategies to assist our entrepreneurs. Now, moving on, I'll just describe very briefly our key products and services. Now, what I have them represented here almost in categories of products and services, which we use to support our clients. We have research, and as you would have seen from the very first presentation from JAMPRO, all that information that was provided, the size of and the potential of the export market and how our performance, where opportunities are in the various international markets, and what product potential are we seeing, the different types of product trends and so on. So we use research, and we collate information which we can share to our clients. Of course, we deliver engagement to our clients through training, and the training may cover a wide range of areas from business consultation and technical topics, where it be focused on developing products, about branding, about your operations, using things like lean manufacturing techniques for efficient production and operations, process improvement, things of that nature. Counseling is pretty much where our core is of client engagement. We have direct engagement with our clients, and counseling may look at everything from your business strategy, from your marketing strategy, from your approach to product development, developing your branding and your labeling needs, as was explained earlier as well. What are the trends and the different techniques and tools to develop proper packaging and branding and presentation of your product, and a wide range of areas. And counseling is where we have that real two-way engagement between ourselves and our clients. Of course, we use events to highlight the success of our clients. We engage in different events, whether these are events that we are leading on ourselves, or we partner with our different partners to engage. With one key event that comes to mind is like the Christmas in July event, which is a a real partnership between ourselves and the linkages, Hub, JamPro, the JMEA, and other players to highlight the best of Jamaican-made products, which include a lot of agro processed products. Of course, access to market, which I described briefly earlier, primarily through our Things Jamaican portal. And for us, access to market is not just putting the products in the market, but preparing you to access markets. You know, that is very important for us. Market readiness, we tell clients if your product isn't ready, then we're not going to force you to participate in the market until you get things right. All right, and we'll go into that some more. One of the things that sets JBDC apart is that we recognize that a lot of MSMEs are operating at a scale where they can't really grow because they're probably operating from home. So we have in place certain production incubators where persons can come and have access to specialized equipment. We have 4 incubators in place, one dedicated to agro-processing, certainly not on the scale of what SRC has, but it certainly caters to those startups, those who are validating their products, validating the formulations, etc. And we allow you to do small-scale production. We also have for essential oils production, for persons in fashion and apparel construction, and for those involved in gift and craft and accessories as well. So persons can come in and use those spaces, use the specialized equipment, and have access to our technical team who will guide them in the production of whether they're prototypes or their final products. Of course, I mentioned earlier access to finance, and this is more about financial coaching and financial preparation, but we go down to the very basics, how to keep and manage your records, how to cost your product, and how to set your different price points depending on where in the market you are. So we provide a wide range of financial services. And of course, I mentioned access to partners as well, whether it be partners in the public space, such as the Bureau, the SRC, JamPro, JIPO, to register your IP, or private sectors and so on. But also key in the delivery of our products and services, we also engage a set of external consultants where we don't have the capacity to deliver some of these services ourselves. Then we also engage a series of consultants who will support us in delivery of our services. Right, so let me get a little bit more now into some specific areas, how we move you from concept to market. Now, we believe it, as I mentioned, it starts with doing your research and understanding your approach to product development. So we have, it was shared with us that our breadfruit or mangoes or yams, etc., have great demand. And you have an idea now, okay, I'm going to make a product from one of these raw materials. Instead of just jumping into making your mango sauce or your gluten-free flour from yam or breadfruit or something, we encourage our clients to do a bit of research and understand the particular market that they want to go and develop a strategy around doing that. So the market research allows you to identify the opportunities, but also determine the feasibility of bringing this idea to life in the most effective and, I would say, profitable way, right? So it's very key. We can make the best product, but if you don't have a way to get it to be feasible, sustainable, and profitable, then you need to really, as we say in Jamaica, wheel and come again, go back to the drawing board and develop that strategy. So for us, we like to zone in on some of these key areas when you're coming up with your business concept or you're executing your business concept. Obviously, you have your business idea that you would fine tune and articulate what that idea is. Key in this now is also your product portfolio. So yes, you know you're in agro-processed products, but what range of products are you doing? What is your product roadmap to roll out these products? How do you validate your products, right? What is the link between the product and the market demand, for example? Who are you targeting, right? Is it a general product? Is it a niche product, etc.? You want to look at different areas of your product. What is your value proposition for your product and so on. So you really want to investigate and articulate and do some research to identify these and document them. What revenue models are you going to be putting in place, right? You know, what different streams are you having? How many levels of revenue are you targeting and so on? Closely tied to that, of course, is also your customer portfolio, which also your customer portfolio can influence your product portfolio. Who are your customers? Where are they? You would have gotten a lot of that information. So you'll see putting together your business concept is relatively easy when you know where to get information. And of course, the market position, where you want to be and so on. And a lot of that was shared with us previously. So basically what this slide is saying is develop your business model and know where you are in the business, know what strategy you want to engage to reach your target market. And so I'll go through again, just showing you a little bit more how market research helps you to get to that road to get a new product on the market. And my visual here just shows some of the areas that you pay attention to. The market viability. Is there a viable market out there for your product? If not, can you create a new market? There are times when we literally can create new markets for our products. And of course, the market is driven by trends, consumer trends. We need to study consumer trends. And we know some of the bigger trends now are about healthy, having healthy products, having natural products, eco-friendly products which are packaged in an eco-friendly manner, which don't have a negative impact on the environment, products which aligns with particular lifestyles and so on. So you want to really ensure that you there's some viability in your product. And you look at these other areas, right? So you want to look at different innovations, and we heard some earlier. And the innovation here now, even though we're talking about the product, the industry innovation, I was really excited when Shanique mentioned things like blockchain technology in agro-processing products. I'm like, wow, I don't know much about that in terms of that engagement. When I hear blockchain, I just think about Bitcoins and so on, but it is much more than that. How can we use that now to increase market access, right? Or how to satisfy the market demand that is out there, right? We want to look at things like positioning and pricing, and we'll talk about some of that as we go along. Of course, it's about alignment to the market. So my last point on the slide here about research minimizes the risk of having a product market mismatch. We want to move beyond assumptions and stereotypes about our products and ensure that we are synchronizing with the market. We have seen information about the size of the diaspora and different diaspora markets and other non-diaspora markets. But let us be cognizant that the diaspora, none of these markets are homogeneous. They all have their own unique and peculiar features about them and so on. So you don't want to make an assumption that just because a Jamaican is living somewhere overseas, they're going to enjoy ackee in brine. They may want some other products. They may not be excited about just the usual kind of thing, because they can have that anywhere at any time. But I want something different. Ackee flavored pizza, for example, or something. I'm just using random crazy examples. But you really want to explore and understand very keenly who you're targeting and trying to match your product to the particular market. Now, I'm just going to give you an idea of the product development process and how it helps you to transform the concept. And we all know the process that we go through technically to develop product. Of course, it starts with the ideation, which we spoke about, which would have come from your research and you matching it to your capabilities to create something. And of course, in ideating your product, it is tied to that market research, which I spoke about earlier, and about validating your product concept. You can do this through surveys, find from people what exactly you want, find out if a concept there's any kind of feasibility or has any potential demand out there, and so on. So you want to spend some time doing that. Then you get to the formulation of the product. Even though this may be something that you have a whole family recipe of doing and mixing up a sauce or a beverage is quite easy for me because I know what to do, and SRC will help me to do it, JBDC will help me, Bureau will help me with the standards, etc. At this point, you pay key attention to your formulation, because remember now, your formulation, your product need to be configured in such a way that it have certain features that align with your market. Are you going for a healthy market? How sweet is it? How much calories does the product have, and so on, which are all functions which affect your formulation, right? And the types of ingredients you put in there. Am I going for a natural market? Is it organic? How does my supply chain impact my formulation or moving beyond formulation? Can I get the organic products? Can I get my raw materials at a consistent supply in terms of volume and price? A lot of cry we hear from some more clients sometimes in agro-processing. They create a formula to make something and they get a big order. Oh boy, pumpkin short, because there's a drought and I can't get no pumpkin, I can't get no pepper. And I hope we're moving beyond that now with advanced technology in farming. Or pumpkin price spike upon me, so it's going to affect my price at the end of the day. So you want to really investigate different areas which impact your product development process and try to mitigate whatever issues may arise there from earlier, or have strategies for alternative options. Once you have done your formulation, then of course you want to test your product to ensure that it meets the requirements of your market. All those checkpoints that meet consumer requirements, your market requirements, you want to ensure that they are all ticked off and they are all in the positive, so that your product will be accepted within the market. And at this point now, you focus on your processing, and I'm going to talk about some aspects of processing in a while. You ensure that your capacity is there, your inventory is available, your everything related to processing is in place, and then you go to commercialization, which now speaks to your distribution, your branding, and all that message that goes along with branding and getting it to your particular market is in place. And for us at JBDC, we see this product development process as cyclical. It's not, even though it seems linear here, there are opportunities and there will be reasons for you to go back to different stages at different times, whether you're introducing a new product, a new variation, a different line. But your product, you always think about continuous improvement. So you may want to tweak your formula after a couple of years to meet changing tastes in the market and so on, and look at more efficient methods of production and so on to ensure that your product remains as competitive as it can. So once you have this model in place, and of course important is to document each of these areas. Your standard operating procedures, the Bureau and SRC will tell you about GMPs and having everything in place. If you're going for export market, of course, you need different levels of certification, with the ISO or FSSAC, or to meet requirements of the FDA, you need to have your various processes and documents in place for that. And you've heard how other agencies can support you in that regard. I want to talk a little bit about from the branding side before I go over to the operations. And we heard some of it, but just want to remind you, in developing your brand, you want to consider the bigger market. There are other players out there and how you position your brand. On the left side of the screen, I have a little Venn diagram here from Qualtrics, which is a big market research company. And they speak how you can strategize your brand marketing. You look at what consumers want, but that's who you're satisfying. And what it is that you're bringing to the table with your brand, and what it is that your competitors are doing, because you know you won't be the only person out there satisfying the market or supplying the market. And you look at different zones. That intersection between what the consumers want and what your competitors are doing best is what you call losing zone. Okay, I am losing customers to my competition. What can I do to attract them? What the consumers want and what I give to them is the winning zone. I'm doing something right here. What can I do to maintain that, to prevent my competitors from catching up with me? There is what we call the dumb zone, which is where consumers will not care between me and my competitor what we're doing. They will take either, or they'll ignore us both. What can I do to get the attention of the consumer before my competitor? And there's a risky zone now where both of us are doing something good and the consumer is kind of at pains now to decide, where do I want to go? They can go either way at the jump of a hat to your competitor. What can I do to bring them back on my side? So of course, it's about your branding. So your brand strategy, simple things such as the packaging, which you mentioned, having attractive logos, having packaging solutions that work, which are sustainable, which are convenient to persons, which are attractive, all the features of your brand, your promotion strategies and your brand names and everything like that all impact your brand positioning, your pricing, how you communicate with your branding. Is it a premium brand? Is it an economy brand, etc.? And the map on the right side now just kind of shows where, and just using a couple of attributes in terms of you're more of a natural product or artificial ingredients versus a high price product versus a low price or affordable product. Where do you fall in the market, and where are your competitors? Who are your competitors? How many players are in each segment, and how do you strategize to outperform your competitor and gain the attention of your consumer? So these are just some strategies on how you can use brand strategy to win over customers. But of course, no matter how much work you do with building up the branding, a part of the brand is the actual product itself. So the product quality is of very high importance. So I want you to pay attention to that as well. Now, I just mentioned some things about branding. I just want to touch on one point here. Is about naming of your product or your brand. And I have some examples here that we have found that happens internationally. And if we're talking about accessing export markets, don't make the assumption that the name that you use here in your home market, which is attractive and people find amusing and will rush to it, it may not be the same once it goes in a different market where customs and language becomes different or is different from yours. And there are strategies in which you can come up with names which really ought to be aligned to your brand and not just a random name. So we're not talking about a generic name now. So we're not talking about tea, but we're talking about the brand tea that you're using. So you want to do some research as well in the intended markets that you want to perform in, or you want to participate in rather, to see how words work. and how phrases work. We may think, and because patois is so unique and so on, but people interpret it differently, even if it isn't unoffensive, but it may be just some kind of way that doesn't seem attractive. You're promoting a health product, but you use a particular word that someone's interpretation of that word is, no, that doesn't sound healthy, so I'm not going to buy this product. So you want to pay key attention to that. Look at your naming strategy. And when you consult all the marketing books and gurus, they will give you a list of strategies on how to name, even though they tell you it should be short, it should be catchy, it should be attractive. You also want to juxtapose that in the export market to ensure that it is a name that will resonate with the particular audience and it will not be a turnoff for your products. Now, looking at the operations side, just to give you an idea of what you want to look at, you want to obviously ensure that you have capacity to supply the market. You don't want a situation where you get a big order and you can't satisfy it because of some issue. So these are some factors in the first column that affect your capacity utilization. And of course, you want to calculate what your capacity is based on your machine throughput, your staffing, and all the factors which impact your output at the end of a shift or a day or whatever period you're measuring, and ensure that you have equipment in place and labor in place to do that. Obviously, market demand will affect that. And when we talk about capital utilization, you can be below capacity. That means you can really put more out, or you're over capacity where you are at your limit and you're still not able to supply more, right? And there are things you can do before jumping to buy another machine. Look at your production efficiency. Are you using all your equipment as effectively and as efficiently as you can? Are you using them for 8 hours a day? Are they breaking down when they should not be? Are you having issues with the people operating them, not knowing how to use them properly and so on? What technological advancements can you put in place to increase your efficiency or the use of your equipment? Look at seasonal variations in terms of the product you have. It may be there may be a high demand only during particular seasons, and for the rest of the year, your equipment is sitting idle. Can you introduce a new product in that off-season period that will utilize this equipment and introduce a new product line, for example? I mentioned issues around supply chain earlier in terms of availability, pricing, distribution, how do they get it to you, etc. You want to pay attention to some of these factors in managing your capacity. And of course, once you have recognized that, yes, I'm at the limit of my capacity, I'm using everything I have, what investment do I need now in expansion, both in terms of a factory space, square footage, a type of equipment, automation, using technology to manage your thing, using enterprise resource systems to plan and match your inventory with demand, etc., and so on. And so on the right-hand side, we have some strategies on how you can optimize your capacity even more. So it's about minimizing waste. And waste, we're talking about not just waste of raw materials and so on, but wasted time, right? Waste of use of equipment doing things that it should not be doing, that it could be more viable or profitable using it to do other things. Looking at efficient inventory management, decide what inventory strategy you want. Some persons can operate in a just-in-time situation. Others may require buffer stock. What is your optimal buffer stock? So you're not tying up capital in unwanted inventory that eventually will go will not have value down the road. We mentioned automation and technology. Looking at collaborative supply chain management. How can you improve your supply chain? Partner with others to share the burden or access to different resources that you may need. Of course, I spoke about continuous improvement from the product development part, but also from your operations and production side. Continuous improvement is important. Utilizing lean management techniques. Kaizen is the most popular continuous improvement method. There are others, including using the 5S principles and so on to improve your production operations and not just your production, but all other processes involved in the business, from taking orders, moving to delivery. And of course, some persons look at the possibility of outsourcing versus in-house production or expanding your own production. You may not have capital to immediately expand, but you may outsource to another processor who has the capability of making similar products as yours. And you look at what arrangements can be put in place to access such outsourcing. So these are some of the areas you want to look at it from your operations perspective while you try to get to market. And my final slide, we're at that point where you have now done everything right. You have developed the right product. You have your proper business model in place. You have figured out your market. You have put your production in place and you're supplying the market. In a few years' time now, wow, demand for my product is growing. How can I scale up? Right? How do I know when I need to scale up? How do I know when I'm at that peak? You're the small entrepreneur at the micro level or small level, and just you alone or you and 3 other people in this business, and you find that you're always busy, right? You see that your sales are growing and your revenue has peaked. You're not getting any more sales and you're delivering and say, can I grow the business now? Now it's time to grow. Now it's time to scale up. When you see that demand start to exceed your ability to supply, then you know it's time to scale. When you're running out of inventory and you have back orders starting to pile up and it becomes more difficult to deliver, then you need to scale. When you yourself start to become a bottleneck to the operation, so you're busy because you're the business strategist, you are the product developer, you are the production staff, you are the marketing person, you are everybody to the business. And if you sit for a day, production, the business grinds to a halt. You need to scale. So scaling up now is where we help you to look at putting in a structure in place, a business structure to have other persons handle different functions, whether you bring them fully on board with you or you outsource that service to someone who can deliver it in the time you need it. Look at how you can put strategies in place to grow your revenue, to grow your production. And there are strategies in which we use this to allow you to do the scaling. But it's important for you to recognize when you're at this point and you want to decide how much are you going to scale to continue supplying your particular market. And these are strategies. There are programs in which we use to do that. Certainly one of the programs I know, the Export Max program, which is about helping people to access international markets, which we do in conjunction with JAMPRO, JMA, etc., to prepare clients to that level. We also have what we call our accelerator program, where we work with clients to develop strategies on how to scale. We provide you with a panel of advisors. We look at different strategies in which you can grow, and we work with clients in that regard to come up with strategies, how to access the necessary finance you need to grow your business at this point. And then we continue holding your hand, working with you until you are in that market and you have become established and you have some strategy for continuing the business and to grow the business as demand grows. And that really is my presentation. I want to thank you very much, and I will now answer any questions. I think I see a few in the chat. Shane?
Yes, there are a few questions you can actually type into the chat and answer. Other panelists have been
answer them afterwards.
Yeah, you will answer them as well. But thank you again for that. Just want to highlight I like the services. I just went on a journey. I felt as if I can now be a product developer and an exporter, and thank you for that. I also want to encourage our viewers to utilize the Things Jamaica services that you have there to get their products out there as persons can find them. It's an easy route to market that they can utilize quite easily. So the product development process was quite clear, quite easy, and I really like that. And you made a great point about branding. I got a laugh from the names you put up. Pretty funny. And we have seen many of those in the market here with people. Wow, when you look at those, you wonder what they were thinking. So thank you for that. And so we now move on to our next presenter, who is Mr. Aquino Patterson, coordinator for this client service program at the Bureau of Standards Jamaica. His topic today is the critical role of food safety and product standardization in developing for market, meeting market entry requirements and improving the attractiveness of your brand as one committed to traceability and quality assurance management. Mr. Patterson's industrial focus are primarily food, cosmetics, and nutrient, and it emphasis on conformity assessment, regular compliances, food safety, quality management, and business development. He completed his graduate studies in food and agro technology processing. So welcome, Mr. Aquino, for your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me. So as was said, I will be speaking on food safety and product standardization. So I'll first give you a little bit of background on the Bureau of Standards. We are a customer-focused organization. We promote international competitiveness of Jamaican producers. We facilitate business development and trade, and we also support consumer protection through standardization, metrology, testing, certification, and training. And I'll be going into a little bit of these throughout my presentation. Our operations are guided by the Standards Act of 1969, where it says that the Bureau shall promote and encourage the maintenance of standardization in relation to commodities, processes, and practices. And all the other elements of that I will be discussing through this presentation. So what is standardization? First, we have to understand what a standard is. And in simple terms, a standard is an acceptable way of doing things. And so standardization, therefore, is a process of making something conform to a standard. Food safety. Food safety is the conditions and practices that preserve the quality of food to prevent contamination and foodborne illnesses. But how does this relate to standards and standardization? If you recall, standards is an acceptable way of doing things. And in this case, those conditions and practices are in the form of food safety standards. I'm going to show you a little diagram here that's going to explore the relationship between food safety and standardization. So usually there is a growing industry. When it comes to food, there are certain challenges that face the industry, whether it is foodborne illnesses and, God forbid, sometimes death. And so the industry is growing, and therefore there needs to be some system in place to have consistent quality. Now, this will lead to standards development or standards revision or modification, depending on the product at hand. Once a standard is developed, then there is public awareness and training on using those standards, and I'll go through some of those. Now, once you have been trained in those standards, next step is implementation. And implementation will then lead to conformity assessment, which is basically the process of conforming to a standard. These include a number of things. You can conform with metrology, which is the science of measurements, testing to see whether or not the product is conforming to those requirements specified in the standard. Inspection, there are various inspection bodies. BSJ in the past was the regulator for food products and commodities. Now that is delegated to the National Compliance and Regulatory Authority, NCRA. and we're more focused on business development. There's also certification, which is a third party attesting to a product or system conforming to a standard. All of these, to maintain the credibility of them, there is a process of accreditation, which is kind of attesting that these, whether inspection or testing or certification bodies, are in fact able to assess the conformance of a product. All of that being said, it will lead to regulatory compliance, and in some cases, exports, and we'll go into that, and the cycle continues. So what are the benefits of standardization? Standardization ensures conformity. There is improvement of quality and safety. There is increase in productivity and overall efficiency. There is a gain in competitive advantage, and it also attracts customers. But most importantly, certainly for the participants present, it's about export. Now, the theme of today's session, charting their route to success developing for export. And so if you do want to export, you must implement food safety and other types of standards. One of our main export partners is the United States of America. That's where the vast majority of our products are exported. There are certain acts and regulations that you must be familiar with. There is a Food Safety Modernization Act, which is a comprehensive framework used by the US for food safety, and it covers every aspect of the supply chain. They call it from farm to fork. So at every single aspect of the supply chain, there is some amount of coverage in the FSMA. And this act, there is an emphasis on the ability of all stakeholders to demonstrate traceability for all foods, and it also focuses on preventive controls for microbe contamination. These are some of the rules for the Food Safety Modernization Act. I've highlighted a few which I think would be beneficial to the participants. There's a produce safety rule for those who would be exporting fresh produce to the US, so like your fruits and vegetables. There is the preventive controls for human food for those who will be exporting prepackaged food. Then also accredited third-party certification, which I'll speak to under certification. All the other elements are important, but for the purposes of this presentation, I will speak mainly about preventive controls for human foods. But while that is important, there are also other FDA regulations that are important to each exporter. And it's going to depend on the type of food that you are exporting. So food labeling is a big one. And there's a whole rule specific to food labeling, and depending on the type of food it is, whether it's a beverage, whether it's dairy, depending on the type of food, there are some specific requirements for those products. There's also a regulation that relates to low acid foods. My colleague from the SRC mentioned it. An example is canned ackee and other canned products. There's also the rule for acidified foods, for example, sauces, and then for every other category that you can think of, herbs and spices, bottled water, frozen foods, meats. There are additional regulations for those in addition to the Food Safety Modernization Act. As it relates to compliance under the Act, the registration is every 2 years, and food facilities must implement a preventive food safety system and have a preventive controls qualified individual, PCQI. So those are a must under the regulation. The FDA, once you register with the FDA, they are at liberty to visit your facility through inspections, and they do this based on a risk approach. Failure to comply to the regulations or even refusal of an FDA inspection may lead to import alerts and product detention, where depending on your product category, you may be subject to additional, more stringent requirements. So I just want to bring your attention to 3 categories of manufacturers. There is a green list, which are persons that are exempted from detention. And these are usually manufacturers that have demonstrated that the food that they're exporting to the US is safe, and they have a history, that is proven by laboratory results, labs that are accredited, that these products are safe. Then there are persons on the yellow list where they are subjected to intensified surveillance. So for example, instead of FDA visiting you every 2 years, they might visit you every year. It's a risk-based, so they would determine they would determine the frequency. And then there is a red list, which is detention of your products upon entry to the US without physical examination. And compliance, which is a major thing that everybody should be concerned about, that may be supported by testing or specialized training. And the BSJ services are really centered around what you need to do, in order to meet the export market. So first, I'll go into training. There are various food safety systems that you can implement to export. But the one thing that you absolutely must have is preventive controls for human food, where you have a food safety plan and you have a PCQI on staff. I have here in brackets some of the upcoming training dates in case anybody on the platform may be interested. But of course, there is a general training that relates to food management systems. There is GMP, ASAP, ISO 22000, root cause analysis, and global gap for those who are exporting fresh produce. And so that includes fruits and vegetables. For the testing services, there are various analyses that are done. You have your microbial analysis, your chemical analysis, label assessment. So for the microbial analysis, there are certain pathogens that are of continued importance. So for example, Salmonella, E. coli, if you're exporting water, then Pseudomonas. So there are various tests that can be done for chemical analyses depending on the product. For example, sauces, you may want to do acidity. You may want to do heavy metals if you're doing herbs and spices, or pesticides, depending on the product. And all of our laboratories are accredited, and that gives you additional confidence when you're using our lab services for export. There's also equipment calibration. I spoke of metrology earlier. Metrology is a science of measurement. And so you want to demonstrate, and it's within the regulations as well. You have to demonstrate that your equipment, those are calibrated. You want to make sure that if you need to store something in the fridge at 22 degrees Celsius, the thermometer that you're using today is reading 22 degrees. When you use it again 6 months, it's also accurately measuring 22 degrees. And so we do calibration on various equipments. Certification. So this, I saw a question in the chat about certification, and yes, the National Certification Body of Jamaica, they offer certification services. So certification is an assurance from an independent body that your products meet specific requirements. So for example, if you're implementing whatever standard it may be, there are certification options to those standards. And it is a voluntary way to prove compliance. The NCBJ provides certification to local and regional businesses. So some of the services, those include HACCP, ISO 22000, Global Gap. I saw someone in the chat ask about organic certification. The NCBJ offers that services. And we're also finalizing a certification scheme for FDA third-party certification, sorry. So the gist of this, I mentioned those various rules, the preventive controls for human food, the produce safety rules. The NCBJ is working on a certification scheme where they can, and the scheme is accredited by the FDA. So, they have the go-ahead or the authority from FDA to certify that your products are in compliance with those rules and regulations. And that is being finalized. I've been sharing a lot of information, and I'm sure many persons are overwhelmed, and it can be overwhelming, especially if you're a startup. There's a lot of information to cover. There's a lot of things that you ought to know. And so BSJ also provides business and trade support. One of the ways we do this is through the Food Safety Modernization Branch. That branch is the Food Safety Modernization Act Secretariat for Jamaica. It's also the contact point for FDA for food. So usually if there are any, issues in the marketplace, in the industry, we will get information regarding those issues. The branch also provides the requirements for the various FDA regulations. We are invited by the FDA and with approval of the manufacturers to attend the FDA inspections when those are happening. And we also assist local manufacturers to prepare for those FDA inspections. So we'd go in, we'll have a look at your facility, and give you some pointers on ways you can improve according to the various rules and regulations. There's also the regional and international trade branch. I know I spoke a lot about the US market, but there's a whole world out there. We have strong diaspora in the UK and in Canada. And so this is where the regional and international trade branch is especially useful. We're the national inquiry point for technical barriers to trade. And what that means is that we provide information on the market access requirements. So depending on the type of market that you want to access, we will reach out to their inquiry points. Each country would have an inquiry point, and we would reach out to those inquiry points to find out what are the requirements based on your product. We also disseminate information on technical regulations, standards, and test procedures from other countries. So say, for example, the FDA or any other country is developing a standard or a regulation, Jamaica is notified of this because we're trading partners, and we have the opportunity to comment on those regulations, or just be informed that these regulations are coming. And the branch also reports trade barriers and unfair trade practices. Additionally, there is a client services program, which is an umbrella program that provides guidance for free to understand, interpret, and implement various standards. So, for example, there is a requirement to go to the FDA, to the UK, whichever country is it, or even the local standards. You want to be registered locally. And a part of the regulations when it comes to exporting is that you need to be registered in your home country. And so, for example, we would offer assistance with, getting registered, with helping persons implement the right systems. If you want to be certified to go to the US, we also provide assistance with that as well. So like HACCP, GMPs, you name it, we provide assistance with that. In summary, you must implement food safety standards if you want to export. It's absolutely critical that you do, and BSJ supports you along this journey through the provision of market access requirements, so you know what you need to enter that market. And if it is that you are unable to implement those standards and regulations, we provide technical assistance to implement those. We provide training in the various, food safety systems. We provide testing to ensure that you're in compliance with those standards and regulations. We also do label assessment, calibration, and certification. All right, that concludes my presentation. I want to thank the team for inviting me at JAMPRO and to the participants for listening.
Thanks, Aquino. Thanks. Lots of information, as you said, yes. But I'm happy to hear, and and I'm glad you actually clarify some of the things around accreditation, which seems to be a big thing. And so the FDA regulation is something that we do get a lot of questions on about, and I'm happy you're stand ready to answer those questions. And it's great to hear that all your labs are accredited, so our clients really will have no access in getting their products fully assessed. So we've come to the end of the program. I know we have been seeing a lot of questions in the chat. I will ask the panelists to go through and answer the respective questions, and then the overall presentation will be shared to you, the participants. So in closing, I just want to say it is very important that we review your company current resources to determine export readiness and scalability. This includes staff dedication to export, strength of supply network, as well as dedicated budget for marketing operating on a global stage. It's also important for you to develop a periodically updating your export marketing plan, considering the cultural differences. Our presenters mentioned those, the logistics, the licensing requirements, and whether you are selling directly to consumers or to a distributor or a retailer. So all these must be taken into consideration. And again, each entity today had a very specific role, and I encourage you to call on them to utilize your services, understand how they can help you to get your products into market. They're not competitors, we're all friends, we're all here to help you get into the market, and everybody serves a different purpose. So please, I encourage you to reach out to the companies.
Shane?
Hi, Grace.
Hi, I had my hands up just before we tuned out.
Sure.
Just a point, I saw a comment that I think I pressed live response, mistakenly, but still it's okay for me to answer live, just a minute or so. The
Great,
person
go
was
ahead.
asking about nutritional facts panel. Yes, we do nutritional facts panel here at the Scientific Research Council, in which you can just pick that information and place it on your places on your label is done via two methods, via database or via analysis. So for further information, I think we gave you our contact information. So for any further information concerning same, you can get in touch with us. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Grace. Thanks, Grace. So there is it. A lot more information, a lot to learn. Just get in touch with different agency. So to the end this most informative session, we'd like to thank all of you for attending, taking the time out to come and listen. I would like to thank all the presenters for being here today. And for further information, you can reach us at 1-888-INVEST-JA or send us an email at info@dobusinessjamaica.com. So that's info@dobusinessjamaica.com. So thank you again for joining and have a wonderful day.